Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name's Shadow Wraith, and today I'm going to be going over some competitive tips and tactics on how to use Poxwalkers in 9th edition 40k. Now this is again Theory Hammer. I've only tested this once, but as we all know it takes multiple testings to see if something really works, and then you have to test it in a very competitive environment, so take it to events and things like that. But nevertheless, let's jump straight in. Poxwalkers, my favourite models to use. Not so much as sculpts, just to use. They were really solid in 8th, and a lot of people seem to think that the age of the Poxwalker has come to an end. I don't agree, because I know they've gone up 2 points, so they were 5, they're now 7 points each. But the amount of damage those 7-point models can put out is insane. Now let's look at their stat block, just bare bones, okay? So, their movement 4, which is terrible, but their death guard, and a lot of it is slow. Weapon skill 5+, terrible. Ballistic skill 6+, don't worry about it, you haven't got a gun, you're a Poxwalker. Their strength 3, toughness 3, 1 wound, 2 attacks though. That is fantastic. 2 attacks is fantastic. Leadership 4, but we don't care about that. And they've got a 7+ save. So, they come with improvised weapons, which is just strength user, no AP, 1 damage. And you can bring them up to a squad size of 20, minimum size of 10. They've got disgustingly resilient, of course, otherwise they wouldn't have a save at all. But that's basically an invuln save, you know. And they've got Curse of the Walking Pox. Each time an enemy infantry model is slain by a Poxwalker in the fight phase, add 1 model to the Poxwalker unit. You cannot go above your starting unit strength without paying reinforcement points, mind you. So you can't just sacrifice a bunch of cultists, pop a stratagem where you can suck up the souls of infantry models within 7 inches of that Poxwalker unit and triple the size of your Poxwalker unit. You can't do that anymore. There was a time when you could do that before, but you know they've sorted that out because that was absolutely broken, and I agree it was. They've got mindless, so they never have to take morale tests. They don't care. And diseased horde. Add 1 to all hit rolls for this unit in the fight phase if it contains more than 10 models. This is why I take them in squads of 20, because sure, 9th edition introduced Blast. So if you don't know what Blast does, basically if you got 6 or more men in a unit, or a blast weapon will do a minimum of 3 hits. If you have to roll a d6 to see how many hits, or 2d6 or whatever, it will roll a minimum of 3. Even if you roll a 1 or a 2, it will count as a 3. But if you roll higher, so a 4 or 5, it will count as a 4 or a 5. If it is 11 models or more, they roll maximum hits. So if it's 2d6, you are taking 12 hits straight away. So I get why people don't want to take them in big blobs, but they work in big blobs because it's more than 10. You can't just bring 10 of them, okay? Because you'll be hitting on 5s, and that's pants. The next place we're going to stop off at is Typhus. We'll have a quick look at what Typhus can do in relation to your Poxwalkers, because he's got a lovely little ability called Host of the Destroyer Hive. Friendly units of Poxwalkers increase their strength and toughness by 1 whilst they're within 7 inches of Typhus. So they're now strength and toughness 4, which is the same as a Space Marine. That is insane already. 7 points model, same toughness and strength as a Space Marine. Not good enough? Fine. Okay. Not only that, you've got Typhus, who can manifest 2 psychic powers. Now, the psychic powers you want to take with him, I would revolve around Poxwalkers, because that's the guys he's going to be hanging around with. The first spell you want to be whacking on Typhus is Putrescent Vitality, which basically is a charge value of 6. You select a friendly Death Guard unit within 18 inches of the Psyker. Until the start of your next psychic phase, add 1 to the unit's strength and toughness characteristic. So now that Poxwalker unit is strength and toughness 5. And that's ridiculous because you are now wounding Space Marines on 3s. I always go off Space Marines because I class that as the middle ground what you're going to be seeing a lot of. Obviously, if you go against guardsmen, you can probably stop at strength toughness 4 because they've got, pea shooters and they're only toughness 3, so you'd be winning them 3s anyway. Now, the next psychic power you can pick is either Miasma of Pestilence, which basically makes the target unit -1 to hit, which is really useful. Or you can go for Blades of Putrefaction. I'd probably go for Blades of Putrefaction if it was me, because what it does is it essentially gives you +1 to your wound rolls. So if you're fighting Space Marines now with those Poxwalkers who are strength and toughness 5, you're wounding them on 2s, which is ridiculous. If you don't want to do that, you can use a stratagem called Veterans of the Long War, because they are a Death Guard infantry unit, and you select it either in the shooting or fight phase. You add 1 to wound rolls, so it does the same as a spell basically. But these Putrefactions is really good if you've got plague weapons, because every roll of a 7+ to wound does a mortal wound in addition. But we don't have plague weapons on Poxwalkers. But that's in case you want Miasma of Pestilence. Instead, you have got a secondary option. The next elite choice you're going to be looking at with your Poxwalkers is absolutely, without a doubt, the Tallyman, because of one ability. Festering Zealot. So, Death Guard units within 7 inches of the Tallyman, re-rolls all failed to hit rolls. So, you got your Horde of Poxwalkers, we're going to go with 20, we've buffed up 20. You are hitting on 4s, re-rolling, wounding Marines on 2s. That's really scary. On top of that, you've got the 7-fold chant. Basically, each time you spend CPs on a stratagem, a Death Guard one, you roll 2d6. On the roll of a 7, you are refunded the amount of command points that stratagem gave you. But I think you can only receive 1 back because of the FAQs and things like that, because you can only generate 1 back each turn from things like that. Obviously, you get a command point every turn in your command phase, but you can only get 1 back in ways like this once. So yeah, that's pretty good. Now we're going to move on to Mephitic Blight Haulers. I like to bring 3 because they're better with 3. They're all +1 to their hits when they're shooting if they're in a squad of 3. But you don't have to if you only care about the Poxwalkers. I'm bringing 2 in a 1,000-point list for an event. And the reason for this is because, well, they give an aura of 7 inches that gives you the benefits of cover for your armor save. So your Poxwalkers will have an armor save, and if you're bringing Plague Marines along with them, this is an absolutely good combo with Plague Marines. They go up to a 2+ save at toughness 5 for your Plague Marines. Absolutely bonkers, really hard to kill. But that's not why I'm bringing them. Okay, this is why. For 1 command point, we can go for Parasitic Fumes, which basically gives them the Blight Hauler a 7-inch aura, and if an enemy unit is within that 7-inch aura, then all your attacks for your Poxwalkers that strike that enemy unit are resolved at -1 AP, which is really strong, really strong. You've also got Mutant Strain for 1 command point. I have gone over these in a previous video, but I'm just going over them again because it's purely Poxwalkers in this video. And basically what that gives you is if you roll an unmodified wound roll of a 6, you inflict 1 mortal wound on the target and the attack sequence ends, which is fantastic because you've got 40 attacks if all 20 of your Poxwalkers get in, and you're re-rolling to hit on 4s. And I mean, you're wounding Marines on 2s, but 6s do mortal wounds, so if you're going against things like Custodes, it's very good to get past their horrible invuln saves. So we've got options to deal with invuln saves. We can get AP. You can use Creeping Blight, which is also 1 command point if you're going against, Terminators or something that have a 2-up save, or vehicles it's good against. You basically add 1 to damage rolls, so I'm pretty sure that means you get damage 2 on all your Poxwalker strikes. Damage 2, insane. And any unmodified wound roll of a 6 counts as a -4 AP. That is ridiculous. Okay? If you want to go all out, chuck a Plague Surgeon in with them, because he allows your units within 3 inches of him to reroll 1 so they're disgustingly resilient. Yeah. So you've got Miasma of Pestilence, making them -1 to hit for a unit. you can reroll ones to the Disgusting Resilient. They're also Toughness 5. They're going to be really hard to shift. Really, really hard. Along with that, you've also got the stratagem Cloud of Flies, which you can protect certain units of Poxwalkers if you need them to replan their numbers. So what you can do is if one starts getting a bit low on numbers, you can hit them with Cloud of Flies for a command point. Then you can hit them with the stratagem the Dead Walk again. So instead of being in combat, the Curse of the Poxwalker goes off. It is within 7 inches of them. Any infantry model, friend or foe, that dies, not Poxwalkers though, will join your ranks basically. So if you get down to like 6 Poxwalkers in one squad, hit them with Cloud of Flies so they can't finish them off, stick something else in front of them, charge an enemy unit with another unit of Poxwalkers, and shred into them. And you will replay not only that unit, if you've lost any, but the unit that is now damaged. So that's a little tactic that I use. So yeah, that's pretty much the basics of it. Now, what makes 9th edition good for Poxwalkers and Death Guard? Well, basically, the biggest downside to Poxwalkers I found was they're extremely slow, hard to get across the battlefield. We now have a way around that. Okay, because before you'd bring like bloat drones and things like that. Things would fly to try and grab objectives, but you don't have to be super quick because it's all about the mid-board kind of play, grabbing the objectives and sitting there. But if we need to be quick, we can, because you can use the strategic reserves. Anyone can be put into reserves, but not only that, we have got a legion for that as well. The Harbingers from the Carry-On Heaps. So basically, it costs 1 command point or 3 command points. Before the battle, select 1 Harbinger Poxwalker unit from your army for 1 command point or 2 for 3 command points. And you can set the selected unit to be set up underground instead of setting them up on the battlefield. At the end of your movement phase, for each of the units that are under the ground, you can set them up anywhere on the battlefield that is wholly within 9 inches of the battlefield edge and more than 9 inches away from an enemy model. So, yeah, you can only use that once per battle, but you only need 2. That, you can teleport your Poxwalkers, is what I'm trying to say. And then you've got Typhus, if you really want to deep strike him, to keep them with your Poxwalkers, you can do. You can even stick Mortarion in reserve. It all costs command points, but you're getting a free one every turn. It's insane for Death Guard, because a lot of our good command points are 1 command point. So, you know, Parasitic Fumes, like I said, 1 command point. We've got the Dead Walk again, 1 command point. Veterans of the Long War, 1 command point. All getting refunded each turn. With the Taliban, you might get an extra one refunded as well. And then you've got a command point as well, Life Beyond Death. Basically, when you lose the final model for a Harbinger's unit, because they all gain the Harbinger's keyword for using this Legion, the unit that destroyed them in the fight phase takes D3 mortal wounds. So you might have a situation where you've got some crazy, like, I don't know, Smash Captain, whatever, that killed your Poxwalkers off, and he's got 1 wound left, and you go like, 1 command point, I'm going to explode. It's just super cheeky. You can have a Warlord trait for the Harbingers as well. When enemy infantry model is destroyed as a result of attack made by a melee weapon from your Warlord, add 1 model to a friendly Harbinger's Poxwalker unit within 7 inches of your Warlord. So that's insane. You can't go above your starting number again, but you can just keep these Poxwalkers coming. And then the relic you got is the Rot Skull Bomb. I mean, it's okay. It is range 6, grenade 2d3, strength 5 minus 2, damage 2. Pretty cool. And it's a plague weapon, so do with that as you will. The only other Legion that I'm going to bring up, because this is a Poxwalkers video, so the other ones are really good, but Poxwalkers don't get the keywords for the Legions, so most of the stuff you get from it don't affect them. But the Poxmongers is an amazing Legion. If you're bringing a lot of Demon Engines, so Blight Haulers, I'm bringing 3 Blight Haulers most of the time, so this is quite a good one, and I do like my Demon Engines to support my Poxwalker hordes. Basically, they get a 4-up invuln save, whilst within 7 inches of a friendly model. That is with this relic. So you give a relic, and it's a 7-inch aura to basically give them +1 to their invuln save, which makes them incredibly tough, because most of them are disgustingly resilient anyway. If you've got a Plague Surgeon nearby, they're rerolling 1s for their disgustingly resilient roll. Yeah, you can see where I'm going with this. And they're not exactly squishy. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. I love Poxwalkers. I think they can be really good. They can teleport where they need to be. You can have Typhus with them. I probably wouldn't make Typhus your Warlord. I'm bringing, in a higher points game, I'm bringing a Demon Prince of Nurgle with wings. And I'm probably going to give him, either make him really survivable by giving him revoltingly resilient, and the Sufferating Plate artifact, which is one of the best combos ever, because he gets a 2-up save and does mortal wounds on successful saves and stuff like that. Along with disgustingly resilient rolls being on a 4+ rather than the 5+, as long as it's not a mortal wound. But if you're going pure Poxwalkers, you give them the Legion Warlord trait, which is every time you do a wound to an infantry model, a Poxwalker unit gains a Poxwalker within 7 inches. Because if you've got Demon Prince, they've got quite a few attacks. If you're going against Imperium, you can generate a bunch more attacks, and it can get really, really silly. So yeah, there's a way of just keeping your Poxwalkers coming back on and standing back up again. They'll start resembling Necrons and do what Necrons do, but better. Anyway, that's it for this video. I just thought I'd give a quick summary of Poxwalkers in 9th edition. I'm going to be going over other units in 9th edition from Death Guard, because it's my primary faction. But yeah, let me know what you think. Let me know what you think of Poxwalkers in 9th. If you think they're going to be viable, or if you think, nah, they're done. The age of the Poxwalker is truly over. And let me know. I'll be keeping you guys up to date on how I do with them personally. I will be bringing them to events, and I'll be playtesting against other competitive people who do go to many events, especially bigger ones up in Warhammer World and things like that. But anyway, thank you ever so much for listening, and if you like the video, do smash that like button, and if you're feeling especially saintly, or the light of Nurgle has shined upon you, do consider subscribing. But even if you don't do either of those things, I still hope you have an absolutely fantastic day, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.